Today, November 30, marks the close of the Atlantic hurricane season 2015, which saw the effects of the El Niño phenomenon, an act of Mother Nature that occurs every 6 to 7 years, as explained by Chief Meteorologist Dennis Gungas.
Well, the El Niño we see that whenever there's an El Niño event, our Atlantic season is somewhat decreased. It's cyclic. It's around 6 to 7 years it returns, and thereabouts, about 6 to 7 years we see the return of an El Niño event. The projections indicate that the Pacific Ocean sea surface temperatures will begin to cool off a bit, and come April and May next year, those temperatures will be approaching near normal. And as a consequence, we won't have this same phenomenon affecting next year's hurricane season as what occurred during 2015 season.
With the Atlantic hurricane season getting underway from June 1 each year, Gungas says this year's season could be best described as just below average.
Well, we had just a little bit below average activity. We had 11 named systems. The average is about 12. Of those 11 named systems, 4 of them became hurricanes. On average, we would have about 6 hurricanes. And of those 4 hurricanes, 2 became major hurricanes. That's just about average, where we have about 2 to 3 hurricanes. The average is about 2.6 something, but you can't have 2.6 hurricanes, so we just said 2 to 3 hurricanes.
While the El Niño phenomenon is attributed to us not having any major hurricanes over Belize, it is also to be blamed for the drought that the areas in northern and western Belize had experienced earlier this year.
Strong El Niño that set in, we found that our rainfall activity decreased significantly. The tropical waves that were moving across the Caribbean did not carry as much moisture as they normally would bring across to us. And as a consequence, our rainy season here was much drier than normal. That we had drought situations in the north and the western parts of the country. It's just because the dampening effect of the El Niño on this, with the systems coming into the Caribbean, that they weren't large rainmakers as such, right? And as a consequence, we ended up with the drought situation. The other situation with the flooding, they were not produced by large-scale, what we call synoptic size systems. They're produced by smaller mesoscale, what we call smaller scale system, and these developed these little circulations developed in the Gulf of Honduras, and they head up towards us and poured significant amounts of rain on us. In fact, we got something like when Belize City was flooded, we ended up with almost 28 inches during that 5-day, a bit over 28 inches during that 5-day period. And those little small scale systems, while they don't produce, they're not wind producers. They produce significant amount of rainfall as what we experienced in October.
As for the upcoming year, Gungas says we should remain alert, as with the absence of El Niño in 2016, we are more vulnerable to hurricanes.
The numbers are not out as yet, but however, looking at the El Niño phenomenon, that it will not be around, and we're heading to, as the projections indicate, we're heading towards, by May there about neutral conditions. We can expect that the season would be normal or above normal, because we're heading towards normal conditions in terms of the El Niño phenomenon that created a dampening effect on this past hurricane season. So we shouldn't let our guards down. We shouldn't assume that next year will be like this year. Right? That would be a very erroneous assumption, right? Because next year, like I said, the El Niño phenomenon will not be around. It's not expected to be around to cause this dampening effect on our hurricane season.
With the Christmas season here already, El Niño will have some effect on the holiday weather, as Gungas explained.
The El Niño phenomenon also affects our cold fronts that affect the country. And during an El Nino year, we find that the cold fronts tend to be wetter because they don't sweep all the way through. They tend to stop over us and produce significant amounts of rainfall, such as the last frontal system that was affecting us. So during an El Nino year, we can look to the cold fronts being wetter than normal and not the cold, dry weather that would normally occur. We can anticipate some wet, cold fronts to pass through.
The next Atlantic hurricane season begins on June 1, 2016.